Welcome, pre-algebra, to lesson 5.3, equations involving parentheses, beginning on page 120, going through 122. For this lesson, we need to remember or recall the distributive law. The distributive law basically is set up like this: 2 times x plus 2, and here the parentheses come into play where we distribute the 2 first to the x and then to the positive 2. All things being positive, we end up with 2 times x plus 2 times 2 is 2x plus 4. Now we've been working with that for a little bit, and now we're going to apply it to equations. So we have 5 different setups here, so let's begin with try it number 6 on page 120, and here's our setup. We have 7 times x plus 2 equals 2 times 2x plus 9. I notice it's all positive, so at least at this point I don't have to be concerned about keeping positives and negatives straight. So in each situation, on both sides of the equal sign, I need to do some distributing. On the left, I'm going to distribute the 7 to the x and the 2, all positive, and on the right I'm going to distribute the 2 to the 2x plus 9. So that basically looks like this: 7x plus 14, all positive, 4x plus 18 on the right, and then both sides of these are equal. Now what I have to do is bring my x's over on one side and my whole numbers over on the other. I do that by subtracting, first of all, 4x from each side, because I want to get the x's over. So by doing that, I end up with 3x plus 14. These eliminate, and I end up with equaling 18. Now I'm going to bring 14 over to the other side, because I'm really working to isolate x all by itself. So now I'm going to subtract 14 from each side. So this will eliminate, and I'm left with 3x equals 4. Now, furthering my cause to get x all by itself, 3 times x, got to get rid of that 3 by dividing. So I'm going to divide each side by 3. This eliminates. I'm left with x equals 4/3. At this point in our book, sometimes we leave it improper, but our book actually does take that and turn it into a mixed numeral right now. So they take 4/3 and change it into 1 1/3. And there you have it for try it number 6. Moving on to try it number 7, we have a little bit more challenging problem. We have a fraction, and within the fraction, in the numerator, we have the parentheses. So I have 6 times 2x minus 7 plus 3 equals x. Now normally we do what's in parentheses first, but in algebra I want to get rid of that 5. I need it to be gone, and then I can concentrate on distributing. So here I go. That means to get rid of 5, I need to multiply by 5 all of the components of this equation, all the values. So I'm going to multiply this component by 5, this component by 5, and this component by 5. Doing it that way, I can get rid of the 5 down in the fraction, so that eliminates. So I'm left with just 6 times 2x minus 7. Here I get 15, and here I get 5x. So that's what I'm left with at this point. Now, 6 times 2x minus 7 plus 15 equals 5. Okay, I got that negative in there. So now when I distribute, I just need to keep my wits about me. So 6 is positive. So positive times a positive is going to give me a positive, but a positive times a negative is going to give me a negative. So continuing on, I have 12x minus 42 plus 15 is 5x. Now I am going to combine my whole numbers on the left, and I have 12x minus 27, keeping my positives and negatives straight, remembering how to add and subtract with them, equals 5x. Now I want my x's over on the left, because by subtracting 5, I'll still end up with a positive x here, and then I'm going to take that negative 27 and bring it on the right and end up with my x's on my left and my whole numbers on my right. So I'm going to subtract 5x from each side, or they did 12x from each side. It works that way too. I would subtract the 5. Well, let's do what they did. I just copied what they did. Okay, I'm going to get the 12x over here, so I have a whole number here and an x there. I'll show you, that's okay. I'll show you what to do if you end up with a negative x value, which we are here because negative 12 is larger than 5. All right, not a bad learning situation. So of course this eliminates. I'm left with a negative 27 equals a negative 7x. Well, that will never do. So at this point, I'm going to just continue the path and eliminate my 7s, my negative 7. By going negative 7 divided by negative 7, that leaves me with a positive. So this is going to work out okay. So negative 27 minus negative 7 is going to be a positive number also. So I'm going to end up with 27 over 7 equals x. Therefore, x is going to, and I'm going to flip them around because I like my x on the left, is 27 divided by 7, or 3 6/7. Now, had I done it the opposite way, like I was first explaining, it would look like this. So I'd have my 12x minus 27 equals 5x. I'm going to bring this over here. And of course, I have 7x minus 27, and there's nothing over here, but I can't have nothing, so I'm going to bring this over by adding, oops, not 28, I'm adding 27. So 7x equals 27, and I can divide through by 7, and I end up with these eliminating 27/7 or 3 6/7. I end up with the same thing. So there's two different ways of proceeding from this point on. Good thing to know. They both work. Continuing, try it 8. Try it 8. Okay, now we have two fractions. And not only do we have two fractions, we have a positive situation and a negative situation. We also have equivalent fractions here. So what I want to do is do my crosses. So I'm going to go 4 times this and 7 times that. That eliminates my denominators. So here I go. I have to distribute the 4 to the 2x and the positive 5, and the 7 to the 3x and the negative 2. So I end up with 8x plus 20, 21x minus 14 on both sides. Now what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to bring my 14 over by adding 14 to each side. So I have 8x plus 34 equals 21x, and now I'm going to take that 8x and take it to the other side by subtracting. I have 34, I don't have this yet, but I would have 34 equals 13x. I divide through by 13. That eliminates, that equals x, 34 over 13. Of course, you can flip it around, x equals 34 over 13. When you get down to just two things that you got to even out, it doesn't matter, x's or whole numbers at this point. Technically, you should do the x's first and then the whole numbers. That just is a better order. So I got that kind of turned around here. Just keep that in mind. But anyway, 34 divided by 13 as a mixed number is 2 8/13. Again, remember, you can pause, rewind, rewatch. You need all these steps. Lots of steps are getting added today. And moving on to try it 9, you will see what that means. Okay, so now I have two fractions, z over 3 plus 2, or excuse me, z minus 6, that's not a 2, z minus 6 over 4 equals 2. So now my fractions, I have to do something here before I can even start balancing out the sides. So I first have to add these two fractions, and I need common denominators. Well, my common denominator for 3 and 4, because I'm adding fractions now, is 12. To do that on this side, I would multiply both of these by 4, so this becomes 4z, And then on this side, I would multiply both by 3, which would be 3 times z minus 6. And then it would that whole thing would be over 12, and that equals 2. Now I'm going to distribute the 3. So I end up with 4z. So I got a positive 3 times positive z is positive 3z. Positive 3 times negative 6 is negative 18 over 12 equals 2. I combine my z's. I have 7z minus 18 over 12 equals 2. Now remember, as a fraction, 2 becomes 2 over 1. Equivalent fractions here. So I basically would multiply this numerator by 1, which doesn't change it at all, and I would multiply this numerator by 12. So I end up with 7z minus 18 equals 2 times the 12, which is 24. And now I have 7z all by itself. There's no more z's to take care of, and 7z is positive. I'm just going to leave it there. So I need to bring the 18 over. Negative 18 to eliminate it on this side. I have to add 18, positive 18. So I have a positive 18 over there. So I have 7z equals 42. So now to get z by itself, I divide both sides by 7. So therefore, z equals 6. There you go. There's the steps. Again, pause, rewind, get all the steps down. You need these steps to arrive at the correct answer. All right. I believe we have one more problem to work our way through. Each one is getting a little more spicy as we go along. So this problem actually involves a formula, and we plug numbers into a formula. So here's the given formula. A equals half of a plus b times the height. Okay, so then they tell us to plug in certain numbers. We want to find the value of a when b equals 13, when h equals 9, and when a equals 90. So now I have 90 equals a half times a plus 13 times 9. So on this side, remember, you can multiply in any order, and I'm going to use what the book did. They took half times 9 and changed it to 9 halves times a plus 13. 90 equals that. And then they eliminated that fraction by multiplying the inverse on each side. Makes good sense, because then you're just left with a plus 13. You're not distributing something and getting a really wonky number with 13. So because of the wonkiness, you can just multiply this, multiply by the inverse. This is a good thing to remember with this formula. And then you end up with 2/9 times 90. These eliminate, so you're left with a plus 13. Now look what happens here. I can do my crosses, which 9 becomes 1, and this becomes 10. I'm left with 2 times 10 equals a plus 3. So 20 equals a plus 3. I even the sides out by subtracting 13, positive 13 minus 13, negative 13. And this gives me 7 on the left equals a, therefore a equals 7. Okay, so the interesting thing is right up here with that half. And you got odd numbers. It's always good to just make that fraction, whatever is in h's position, and eliminate it by multiplying by the inverse. Remember, you can do that because when you multiply by the inverse, it's like 18 over 18. It's just 1 times that, so it virtually disappears, as long as you do the same on the left. And there you have it. Lots of different things to keep in mind for this particular lesson today. Again, just an encouragement. Watch it twice, pause it, get all your steps down, include all your steps when you work today's lesson out. And our assignment for today, is 5.2 on page 122. We're going to do numbers 1 and 2 today, and then we'll finish up the lesson tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Do good math.